Well, that was interesting. Indiana Fever escaped with a victory against quite possibly the worst team in the WNBA. Now, there's some talent on that team, but a lot of it didn't play. We all know Rakia Jackson, who had a great start to the season. She is out for the season. Dejanay Carrington isn't back on the squad yet. She's still out. And damn it, now it's slipping my mind. But there's somebody else who's a quality player for the Sky as well, also not playing. A team that is very, very shorthanded, that has been struggling greatly since a decent start to the season before Rakia went down. And the Indiana Fever go in and do absolutely everything they can to lose this game, but they pull it out in overtime. And I'm watching this game and I'm seeing these glimpses of how great this team can be, how great Caitlin Clark is, how great Aliyah Boston is when Caitlin Clark is allowed to play like Caitlin Clark. We got some P&R in there, although I think from everything that I saw, it looked like that was sort of Caitlin and AB going, hey, what's the word, bro? I don't know, off the reservation maybe, and doing their own thing. Definitely saw a little of that. This game was kind of a microcosm of the entire season that we've seen with Stephanie White, sort of this Stephanie White era. We've got it all in one game. We've got the absolutely incompetently bad offense that is the Stephanie White offense, right? Kelsey Mitchell chucking up shots, doing a lot of dribbling, a lot of standing around, right? I think this is one thing that hasn't gotten talked about enough, and by me included, and it's not just a Caitlin Clark thing. Now, we all see when Caitlin Clark gives up the ball, especially with Kelsey Mitchell, she's standing. And a lot of people are like, well, why is Caitlin just standing around? Take a step back, watch the whole thing, and that's sort of the offense. It is not just Caitlin Clark. This offense involves a lot of standing around. Let me see if I think I might have pulled up one thing about it. I want to get to some really cool things from Caitlin Clark as well. It was sort of a historic night for her, although that wasn't talked about. It was a historic night for AB and for Caitlin Clark and AB combined. Again, as much as they did to lose this game, I think this might be it. As Emma says here, this is a professional basketball team. Now, look, I get that we can all make things look better or worse by pulling out individual highlights. But for me, this is sort of a glimpse into what we see too often with the Indiana Fever offense when it is Stephanie White's offense. And of course, Caitlin Clark is not in for this, but this is quite a team. Now, again, they had what I think 19, correct me if I'm wrong, was the biggest lead for the Indiana Fever. Sky came all the way back. Actually, I think the Sky went up as much, I want to say 8. I think the Sky went up as much as 8 points in this game. So this is a big possession, right? Less than 2 minutes to go in the third. Sky up 70-68. Obviously, everything had fallen apart for Indiana. I think it was like, let me double check. I think it was like 39 points for the Sky in the third quarter alone. Let me double check. Yeah, 39-27 in the third quarter for the Chicago Sky. So 39 points, y'all. Do you realize how many points? That's 152 points. No, wait. 100 and, what is it? 156 points. Sorry. Wow. 156 points for an entire game if you were to do that. So anyway, let's take a look at this. Like, there's really any movement. That's not a good pick. I don't know what we're doing here. That's a really lazy pick. By the way, can I just point something out? Let me just show you something. And I don't mean to pick on Kelsey Mitchell. I see this a lot, but she does it. Now, if you want to see why this gets deflected, which I stopped it there, right? Little things. Again, especially for all those out there who like to yap about not knowing basketball and talking to me. This pass gets deflected and there's almost a turnover because Kelsey Mitchell's body position is a little lazy. She's still turned more toward the defender, and she throws a chest pass with her left hand being the dominant hand on the ball, which her left hand is her inside hand in this situation relative to that defender. Makes it a lot easier for that ball to get tipped. This is a pass that's got to be more to the right hand of Kelsey Mitchell to keep it away from the defender, and that is why you see this ball get tipped, because she throws that with her left hand. Also probably should have thrown just a simple right-hand bounce pass. Then we get deflected. Let me go back and collect this ball. Shot clock's running down. Let me throw a bad pass here. Let me fumble this. And shot clock violation. That's sort of the Stephanie White offense that we see when Caitlin Clark is not the engine. But hey, check this out. Historic night, Caitlin Clark. Most games in WNBA history with 20 points and 10 assists, Caitlin Clark. 25 points and 10 assists, Caitlin Clark. 30 points and 10 assists, Caitlin Clark. This is the career stuff, by the way. And she has played 64 career games. Now, the other thing I'd like to point out, that 30 points and 10 assists, it's her third time doing that. The rest of the WNBA combined in its 30-year existence, 4 times. 4 times. For the entire league, 4 times a player has had 30 points and 10 assists. Outside of Caitlin Clark, who's done it 3. So it's actually technically 7 times for the entire league. But Caitlin Clark has 3 of those 7, which is absolutely wild. Now, before I move on to a little more detailed stuff, I just want to remember to share this just for the fun of it. This is after MHA's massive block on JC Sheldon. Whoa! Oh my gosh! Sorry about that. So there was that massive block. Caitlin says, "Yeah, what's that? What's that, JC? Here you go. There you go. See that from behind? Watch Caitlin Clark when they switch the camera angle." Oh, JC, what happened? Lexi's thrilled, like they're all like, "Oh, JC, that was a shame." By the way, I don't have it here. Going back to the Kelsey Mitchell thing, this is why I said it wasn't Kelsey Mitchell. JC Sheldon, same thing here. Fundamentally bad. She goes up on the left side on this break with MHA next to her and goes up for a right-hand layup. Like she's basically saying, "Here, block this." Where, of course, if she uses her body, uses her left hand, she has a chance to make that layup or at least get fouled because MHA's got to reach further to get the ball, and she's got to reach across JC Sheldon. But the WNBA, apparently, again, lack of skill in this league. It is absolutely mind-boggling to me that we are talking about this stuff. Look, here's a few issues. MHA at one point sat for, I don't think she played in the third quarter, in that dominant quarter that was 39 points they gave up. We know what kind of physical presence she is in there as well. We know we don't have a backup center, right? So Aliyah Boston can't be guarding Azura Stevens and Camille Cardoso, which was a problem. But for those of you who didn't watch it, the Chicago Sky comeback was mostly uncontested layups. And it was uncontested layups in the half-court offense. The Indiana, I have never seen a professional basketball team's defense be so fundamentally bad. Like, the way the rules are in basketball, the way everything's handled, if you're out on an island 1v1, I expect you to get beat. Not necessarily beat all the way for an easy layup, but I expect that offensive player either gets the shot that they want, or at least a good shot, or they decide to pass off and go elsewhere. And that's basically the defender doing their job. But I expect you to get beat in that situation. But to see players get beat off the dribble to where the player now from 30 feet out goes all the way to the bucket for uncontested layup after uncontested layup, no rotations, no inside help. And here's the big deal, which I talk about with Stephanie White a lot, that people seem to ignore who like to defend her. 0 in-game adjustments. Now, there's one type of coach who can make 0 in-game adjustments. A coach who just really doesn't care and is really stubborn. It's like, we're going with what I gave you, and that's it. And they kind of go hand in hand. And the other is a coach who actually isn't a very good coach, and they may be able to get enough information, this and that, and be like, okay, this is what we're doing into the game. But they don't have the knowledge, especially to think on their feet within the game, to be able to make adjustments on the fly, which all great coaches should be able to do. And we saw none of that with the Indiana Fever. They made 0 adjustments to the Chicago Sky being able to repeatedly get to the basket. And also, again, MHA on the bench. Michaela Timpson didn't start, but I was going to say started, but she didn't. She just came in so quickly, actually, and played a lot early and was very effective, had 2 monster blocks early in the game, and then again went to the bench for a long stretch. So you've got MHA out, you've got Michaela Simpson out, and you've got the Chicago Sky making uncontested layup after uncontested layup. Bad adjustments. Speaking of another adjustment, and I think this one is Stephanie White. I don't know if it's part trying to embarrass Caitlin Clark and feeding into the narrative of she can't play defense. Go check out a video I did. I forget, man. Yesterday, the day before, on Caitlin Clark's defense. Actually, this year she's been one of the better defenders on the team. But this taking Caitlin Clark out at the end of games or quarters or whatever for defensive purposes is stupid. It messes up the flow. It completely limits the Indiana Fever if they get a stop and get the ball to go on offense, because now you don't have Caitlin Clark. And this offense looks incompetent without Caitlin Clark. This is simply overcoaching by Stephanie White. I guess she's trying to give the impression that she's making these high-level, 4D chess moves. But it's not. It's disrupting the team. It's hurting the flow. And it really does nothing for the Indiana Fever. And last night was a great example, too, where you bring in Raven Johnson, and she gets torched right away. And that wasn't on Raven. Taylor was, I want to make sure I have her numbers right. She was wild. Let's go back to this. Off the bench, undrafted, by the way, player. Sydney Taylor, 21 minutes, 30 points. She was 10 of 14. She was 9 of her first 10, and had 25 points on 10 shots, y'all. And I think that's what she was through 3 quarters. And then finally, at some point, I think in the fourth, Lexi Hull started covering her, and then she was 1 for her last 4. I don't know why Lexi Hull didn't get switched on her a lot earlier in the game. You had Caitlin Clark on her a lot, but again, it wasn't Caitlin. Kelsey was on her. Whoever was on her, it didn't matter. Taylor was just having one of those nights, but you had Stephanie White being way late with putting Lexi Hull on her, and then also no adjustments for team defense to do anything to slow down Taylor, who single-handedly kept this team, the Chicago Sky team, in the game. Once again, no adjustments from Stephanie White. She can't make in-game adjustments. It's ridiculous. Okay, I had to take a breath. I'm exhausted. All right, I was going to leave this for actually another entire video because I could do so much on this, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. This is Stephanie White after the game. Now, I want you to keep in mind a couple of things. Caitlin Clark had, 32 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. She's the reason they won this game. I think she's the first player in WNBA history to shoot at least 15 free throws and not miss. And they needed every single one. And to be fair, I don't think the team, again, let me double check. I know it was at some point the entire team was like 23 for 23 for the game. So let me just double check. Let me just double check. Free throws. 29 of 31 they ended up being. 94% for the team. That's insane. Without that from the line, they don't win. So, yeah, free throws matter, y'all. I think that gets glossed over a lot as well. But y'all remember a couple games ago, there was a huge thing with Kelsey Mitchell and her 5,000 points and, the locker room carrying it on and so forth. So this is after the game. Caitlin Clark, keep in mind what I said earlier, right? Got another 30-point, 10-assist game, her third. Right, the entire league has 7. She's got 3 of them. No other player has more than 1. You have 4 players with 1 each. And here's Stephanie White after the game.
All right, y'all. Really good job. Okay, really good job. We weathered the storms. Okay, we came together. Y'all, I heard you more in huddles and in timeouts than I've heard you all year long. That matters. That matters, right? The collective positivity, the collective accountability.
Okay. I'm sorry. Remember what I said when she got this job that she's one of those that can talk a great game and make it sound like she knows what she's talking about, but she doesn't say anything? Collective positivity in the huddle, the collective accountability in the huddle. I felt the beginning of this was, I'm sorry, I'm not, oh man, I'm not trying to be mean or over the top. It just struck me as funny because I'm listening to the beginning of that, and I feel like that might be something I would say to my 8-year-olds if I was coaching, right? Like getting them pumped up about their communication and talking in the huddle and being engaged. At this level, actually, I think you all should shut up and listen to whatever the coach is saying unless they ask you a question. But if you got a whole bunch of people yapping and talking in the huddle, you're sort of kind of wasting the time out. But anyway, yeah, so it kind of feels like she's talking to third graders, and then she goes into stringing a bunch of words together that I guess are 25-cent words, not actually saying anything, but it's supposed to make her sound smart. I don't know.
Fucking each other up. That is huge, y'all. Yes, we are closing
It's huge, y'all. It's huge, y'all.
that thing. We are closing that fist right here. But I'm so
I was closing that fist. I was expecting her wifey to pop in and be like, "Yeah, Black Power."
proud of the way that you came together, the way that you fought in that fourth quarter and those runs, the way that we came together going into overtime.
The way that we almost got our ass completely kicked by the worst team in the league while they were playing shorthanded without their most talented players, the way that we blew a 19-point lead, the way that I refused to make adjustments, the way that I called a play at the end because I can't stand Caitlin Clark and it almost cost us the game when Kelsey Mitchell fumbled the ball out of bounds.
Going into overtime, coming together and finishing this game. All right, great job. That we grew today. We grew today.
We proved it. We blew a huge lead to the worst team in the league and barely escaped in overtime, thanks to Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston, who played a lot of their two-man, two-woman game, if two-man game that everyone says is hurt your feelings. And yeah, look, I'm not saying you should come in there and lash them, but come on now.
Proud of you guys. AB, we had 29 points off the turnovers. We outscored a 58 to 48 in the paint. Over here. Okay, a lot of really good stuff. 19 second chance points. Okay, again, a lot of really good stuff. And most importantly, we stacked the deck and we got better.
Yeah, so no problem with shouting out Aliyah Boston, career high 34 points. I believe, by the way, 8 of 10 Caitlin Clark's assists were to Aliyah Boston, so Caitlin Clark had a role in that. You shout out Aliyah Boston. You don't mention that Caitlin Clark collected her third 30-point, 10-assist game in a league that in its history only has 4 other players who have at least one. Again, not beating the allegations. I know we'll get the white simps yapping about, oh, you're reading too much of it. Guys, again, I'm going to tell you, as a coach, no coach comes into that locker room and does not call out Caitlin Clark's performance unless it is purposeful in ignoring her. Period. It just doesn't happen. It is automatic. You don't coach that game and not mention Caitlin Clark's performance. It's automatic. It is automatic. But again, look, there was some great stuff in this game. It was entertaining when Caitlin was being Caitlin and when she was working with AB. I loved it. But as I mentioned, a lot of stuff that, still the same old question marks. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This one got really long. Again, apologies. Quick favor, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. I truly do appreciate it. I'll talk to y'all later.